So it was Thursday the 9th of October. Obviously I uploaded them videos regarding the whole noise. Basically, he came back again today earlier. He's above me there now, so if you hear any banging and scratching, it's him now. He basically agreed with my neighbour below, who also has an issue with his banging, that he'd be gone by 7 o'clock there now. It's now 25 days. You know what I mean? And he broke it again, yet again. So like, I had to bring my daughter to the doctors today. She was kind of like putting her hands over her kind of ears and rocking back and forth every time there was a loud noise or like a bang or anything. This person, and I use the term lightly here, right? He was basically trying to like tell me neighbour that they can't talk to me, that I'm all difficult. And see, this is the shit that's going on. Every time I try and explain something, if you notice, people try and gaslight. And this is all very convenient that there's renovations being done now. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe it is a coincidence. Maybe it is. But all these coincidences, they add up, and the probability that they're not connected, do you know what I mean, gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And when you take into account what I'm talking about historic sexual abuse allegations in a children's grouping that have been covered up, that are being covered up and still are being covered up, corruption in Waterford Council, corruption within Waterford Garda, and the corruption within one or two members of Sinn Féin. And I'm not blaming the whole party, I'm sick to death of saying this, but like, there's certain members of the party abusing their position. He had an issue apparently I called him a spastic on one of the videos I uploaded. Now, I don't even use that word, if I'm being honest with you. But what I would have called him is an arsehole and a cowboy kind of builder. And the reason I call him an arsehole, because he knew that their daughter was directly underneath him when he came down Kangan, because he came down the 12th of September, right, which is the day before my daughter's first birthday, and he started Kangan, and we made a complaint to the agent, right? So he knew that like our daughter was in there, so that's an arsehole move. So you'd have to be an arsehole to come and do it again. But to cut a long story short, he came and done it a second time, right? This fella says he's a plumber now, right? And when he was down there, he was I don't know what he was doing, pulling out the toilet or something, but it obviously broke a leak or broke a pipe. I put up the photo in my last video, you can see. I contacted the agent, obviously, after a couple of days. This was getting really bad. It was all over the roof, leaking down onto the walls, clearly coming from upstairs. He's on video. The agent clearly rang him. He comes down in his van, goes upstairs, turns off whatever the fuck it is that was left on, or whatever pipe was broke, and he leaves. And within that incident, the leak stopped. Do you know what I mean? And then he comes back again a third time. Now, as I said, he knows my daughter's underneath, do you know what I mean? And he has an issue with me calling him an arsehole. Do you know what I mean? Who comes after work and starts Kangan? Only arseholes. Do you know what I mean? Let's be honest about it. Do you know what I mean? In the residential areas, the owner of the apartment realistically is to blame, because at the end of the day, he's been sent down there to do this, and I kind of understand that, because it is the owner. There's no point kind of being too kind of like fucking angry at the fucking monkey when it's the kind of organ grinder really sending him down. Basically, what's behind this. But as I was saying, like, this is all coincidental. Every time I try and speak about this, about the corruption, if you notice, something takes me mind off it. Some kind of shit regarding my family that's important enough to kind of like take me away from this stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because like my child's like mental health, obviously, like if she's rocking back and forth with her hands over her ears after that like clown up the fucking Kango, and he is a clown. Anyone that comes down like at 4:30 or 5 o'clock and starts the Kango hammer, do you know what I mean, directly over a 13-month-old child, said, as I said, knowing that the child was down there. Do you know what I mean? And if you go back and look at the videos I uploaded, you will see that you can hear the child screaming in the background. But as I said, it's all very coincidental. Now I'm going to keep uploading my videos, and I have one there made up. And it goes time that I started like showing this documentation, which is essentially kind of like what needs to be shown. And maybe this is just a coincidence. Maybe it's not. Who's to say? Like, at the end of the day, like, I shouldn't really get too bogged down in it, because it's taking me away from what's important. And that's basically essentially what this is. It's taking me away from what's important, which is trying to get my story out. I put up my videos. I rightfully put up my videos to show what was going on. And as I said, he agreed with my neighbour just below, just like what, 3 hours ago, that he'd be finished by 7. It's now like 20 to 8, and he's still up there banging and slapping. Do you know what I mean? So he's basically just a liar, if I'm being honest with you. Do you know what I mean? He basically then said that he was going to be working until 7 o'clock. Now I showed my neighbour the video where he said he was going to be there till 10 o'clock. And this showed him to be another liar. Also, that the leak didn't come from kind of him. The leak did come from that bathroom up above after he was up there Kangaroo. So that's another lie, if I'm being honest with you. And basically, he was quick enough to be able to go up and fix whatever the leak came from, because he came along on his lunch break, went up, my wife will verify this, And like within 5 minutes the leak was turned off or stopped or whatever it was. But as I said, there's no point in kind of moaning about the kind of like monkeys. Do you know what I mean? When it's the organ grinders just kind of sending these people down, if I'm being honest with you. At the end of the day, if he's doing a nixer or a job, like I don't really have an issue with that. Either does my wife. Like he was as sweet as pie talking to me neighbour. Do you know what I mean? Why couldn't he do that? Like with myself and my wife, why couldn't he knock at our door and say, look, I might have to Kango on such and such a day. What day suits? And we would have said, any day suits you. You tell us, so we know to be gone. Instead, he chose to come in and purposely just Kango over the child's head, just like he's doing now. He's purposely doing this because he said 7 o'clock, so he's purposely up there. Do you know what I mean? And he's moaning then because I said fucking, because I called him an arsehole on the video. But he's saying that I called him a spastic. I didn't call him a spastic. Actually, he called me a spastic, and I have the video. I just didn't upload it. And the real important thing really is like, how come stuff like this constantly happens every time I try and get my story out? Do you ever notice that? And people gaslight me, saying that fucking like it's all in my head and I'm paranoid. Now, it was all in my head, right? And I was paranoid. How come there's so much paperwork? Do you know what I mean? How come there's all these stuff that comes up like over and over again? Do you know what I mean? Like this can't be a coincidence. It can't be a coincidence. Do you know what I mean? If something happens that often, it's not a coincidence. Do you know what I mean? The probability of that being a coincidence is virtually non-existent. And there's been so many kind of like various kind of attempts to kind of like just basically impede it and stop me from getting my story. So obviously I do get some of these things kind of like mixed up because there's so many like incidents happen. So obviously I am going to like think that fucking they're all involved. If I'm being honest with you, I don't have any mental health problems, but I'm like being logical about this. I'm obviously going to think some things are kind of involved that are actually not. Do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's in Waterford City Council, right? Sinn Féin, Waterford Gardaí, fucking Tussle, and then my crazy ex, do you know what I mean? To put a stop to me speaking the truth. And speaking of my ex, I got a notification yesterday that someone was at viewing one of my videos on my social media again. It was her name with 888. And I just want to talk briefly. I spoke about it in previous videos. That 888, my mother used to always say that the 8s used to follow us, right? Like we lived in a house in 28, we moved into 28. My mother and father were married on the 28. My father's birthday was the 28. My birthday is the 28. I got out of rehab there, see there, 28 of the 808. I met her, she was living in 88. So my mother used to tell all my family that the 8s were following her. This was kind of, it was kind of my mother's thing, being honest with you. But she made this thing, obviously, like this is the thing she's been doing, like known basically that it's a kind of, it's a personal thing. And this is a, and she spoke about this actually on the Two Norries podcast, saying that D8s mean something to her. This was what my mother used to say. So that's how kind of like nasty this kind of person is. Like she knows that this would kind of get under my skin, basically to rub vinegar into the wound. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, but I just wanted to say that your man is still upstairs there now. No, sorry, 7:45, sorry, I'm a liar. And he told the neighbour down below that he'd be finished by 7. And I just want to say, any person that comes in kangaroo over a 13-month-old child's head is an arsehole in my view. And people are like want to jump to his defence that he's only doing a bit of work, like, you know what I mean? Grow up and cop on. Had he knocked at the door and just arranged the day, there wouldn't have been an issue. Because myself and my wife and my daughter, like, we would have just left him do his work. There would have been no issue with that. That's what you would do if you were a kind of professional, like, builder with some kind of integrity. You would knock at the neighbours and you would say, look, I'm going to be doing X, Y, and Z. It's going to be pretty noisy. What time suits? Would you not? But he chose to come in and do this right in the middle of me kind of like making me videos. And maybe it's a coincidence and maybe it's not. But either way, I'm still going to upload me videos. One thing there, I think I forgot to mention in the video, I'm not too sure. After being out in the doctors there today, they gave us a letter to say that the child was not to be in the apartment, that we were to be given notice if this kind of construction work was going on. This letter has been handed over to the agents. It was sent over today, and he had the cheek to turn up again now today. Do you know what I mean? It's 10 to 8 there now, and my wife is kind of, she's in there trying to get my daughter asleep. He's pouring fucking screws over her head. Not sure if you can probably hear it there now. Like, how do you talk about this kind of stuff? But I'm going to. Do you know what I mean? And you can believe me or you cannot believe me. And either way, I'm still going to address the topics that I've been speaking on for the past 10 years. And I'll show the paperwork. Eventually I'll get around to it. I know it's fucking difficult at this stage, but I will. So I'll leave it there. Thanks. Bye.